The Mexican Soccer Show is starting. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to everybody that's on the chats. All of you guys that are listening to us. If it's not Monday Night Football and it's maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday, I want to say hello to you first today because I always skip all the iTunes listeners. And I know there's a lot of you. We're hitting in the almost 2,000 range of people listening to us. So thank you, all of you that are listening with the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll love doing this. We'll just jump right in with our questions. We have a lot to cover, so we're going to just jump right in. It's all about Mr. Almeyda going to San Jose Earthquakes, and the question was, how is everyone feeling about the Almeyda San Jose Earthquake announcement? And we'll go right to which the person that's, I think, affected the most out of anybody in the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll talk about that right now. But Cesar, how are you from the San Diego, Tijuana area?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've been following the Earthquakes for a little bit. I'm tempted to say that I'm a fan of the Earthquakes, although I try not to talk about too much about the teams that I support. So, I mean, I guess from someone who used to live up in the Bay Area, I mean, I'm highly interested. I'm highly interested by this. I think it adds another layer of intrigue to the MLS Liga MX rivalry. I'm fascinated to see what he could accomplish with a club that is in serious need of a rebuild. But it's interesting because we've seen good players like Rui Diaz and Quintero go from Liga MX to MLS recently, but I don't think we would have predicted a manager like Almeyda to do something similar. So I'm fascinated by this. I'm highly fascinated by this.
Well, I'm gonna read the first reply that we got in the Mexican Soccer Show, and it was nah. So that's one of them. And I don't know if you're able to see that because of the inverted screens or however it is. All right, Mr. Tom Marshall, who at 7:01 said I have to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. And this is why he's back. Tom, the question to you: Almeyda, San Jose Earthquakes. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's
like honestly, like don't give us Tom. Don't give us like the journalist. Like this is Mexican Soccer Show. This is where you're the most real, Tom.
What do I think of it from his perspective?
No, you.
You.
Yeah. Don't give us his. Don't give us the MLS. Don't give us FMS. Thomas Marshall. Is it Thomas?
Very interesting. No, it's interesting. I mean, I was a bit obviously surprised. I think I think the news came last night, and I was just surprised. And I was like trying to think over it and like, what's the reasoning behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know. Everybody talks about San Jose Earthquakes not being the greatest institution, so I think that's the big battle. But I can't believe they're worse than Chivas as an organization, if you know what I mean.
Organization, yes.
I mean, just Chivas. In a lot of things they do right in Chivas, but just the overall, it's so difficult to work with. And I mean, that's just proven from the number of managers they've had over the years. I mean, it's difficult for them to make it work. So yeah, there's that side of it. And then, like Cesar was saying there, just the MLS Liga MX rivalry. I mean, I think this is a massive coup, really, for MLS. Another one, in bringing a manager who, for me, is very, very good. In bringing someone who basically has been one of the main personalities, one of the main characters in the Mexican game over the last 3 years. And MLS have just signed him up. And, probably one of the worst clubs in MLS. Has just got one of Mexico's biggest characters. And I mean, I'm a fan of Almeyda. I know, results in the last year weren't the best, but he's got this charisma. I like his style of play. He just loves his football, and he's interested in press conferences. And I don't know. I would have liked to see him, from a selfish point of view, stay within the Mexican game. But obviously he's gone to MLS, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. But I just think I'm of the opinion that it's almost like, when Martino goes to Atlanta, when, Bielsa goes to Leeds, there's always these question marks about, can this Argentine guy succeed in, he doesn't know the league. These guys know what they're doing. They're brought up with the game. They're absolutely born and bred with it. Almeyda's going to make this San Jose Earthquakes team a team to watch. It's going to be a good team. Obviously the question marks, can they bring in the players? But Almeyda, he likes bringing through the young players. He likes the long-term project, and I think that MLS is good for that. I mean, it's kind of worrying from a Liga MX point of view that a smaller MLS club has been able to attract Almeyda. The only thing that I think Almeyda is going to struggle with and I don't want it to sound disrespectful to San Jose Earthquakes, is that Almeyda's brought up. He's come from a background of poverty. His book's actually really interesting. I think it's Borinsky, his biography, and he was very, very poor growing up. He goes to River, he becomes this hero of the River fans. Does all his career, goes to Italy, becomes a hero of the Lazio fans. These passionate fan bases. He starts his coaching career, River Plate, gets the team promoted. He becomes this like he's a legend at River. He comes to Chivas, another very emotional club. The fact that Chivas are all Mexican, it's just got this. I don't know. It's hardwired to emotion. Chivas, it just brings emotion to fans more than most other clubs. A bit like Atletico Bilbao and stuff like that. But Almeyda's going to San Jose Earthquakes, and I don't know, why is it? I don't know, Cesar, what's the size of the stadium?
it's a little over 17,000. Tom, what you're saying is that Almeyda isn't going to somehow connect with a stadium that has the largest outdoor bar in North America and a team that has literal no connection to the Latino community. I mean, there's a connection, but it's so minuscule. Is that what you're telling me, Tom?
I was just trying to get you to mention the bar. I had a little bet with myself how long it'd take to mention.
I mean, it's 7:10. We started the episode 7:02, so I think it took about eight minutes there. Do visit the bar though, Almeyda. New fans.
Oh, we know. As far as the responses, really quick, let me just get you guys responses from here. Jaime Osorio, friend of the show, always tweets, listens to us on the Extra podcast, was hoping he would at least go to a mid-table European team. I guess it's okay, though, since he's getting his training chops for when he takes over 3 in time in 2026. Jay Hernandez is empty inside. I feel like a lot of Chivas fans are they're depressed. They're like, so damn. Upset. It's kind of like some people kind of go, it's kind of funny, like the whole girlfriend or boyfriend thing, right? It's like when you finally let it go. All right, fine. Now I don't like you, or however it is. And you kind of go into it. My first reaction, right? And I don't ever want it to sound like, oh, the MLS is so much worse. And, I look at both leagues and go, okay, one's better than the other. We know. I think the MLS has grown. And I think, I'm watching LAFC, and it's definitely, as someone that never watched the MLS, I'm paying more attention to that. So here comes now a league that takes, the talent from Mexico, even though maybe he wasn't Mexican. But for so many people, we thought that Almeyda was going to be, he's going to be a great coach. Not that he's not going to be anymore, but again, I would have thought that he would have tried to have gone to a European team or even another Mexican team. And I just go, a last place team, MLS? And regardless if it's MLS, it's of another league. I just kind of go, man, either A, good for him that he's trying to do and really show what he can do with maybe a team that has no talent right now, that is struggling really bad. And this is going to be a great story for Almeyda to say, look what I did with this team out of nowhere in MLS with the, with a fan base, with the really small, institution and a stadium. And then let's say they win. What a huge story for his resume to say that. And then boom, European clubs, start looking at this. I just don't see it happening in that sense, but great for him. And then I just kind of think about it. Were there really no other offers? Because we know it's not for the money for him, that he would just go, I don't know, take a middle club and try to take it to the top in any other league.
I do wonder if he's going to be given a lot of freedom with the team. And maybe that's something that could be appealing to him. I know on a press conference earlier today that he had, he didn't specify what exact, whether he was going to be taking a little bit more charge from the GM, or the GM would be, taking a little bit more charge. Because remember, Almeyda isn't taking charge right now. He's not going to be fully with the team, really taking charge as a coach until 2019. The Earthquakes still have to go through their season. But I do wonder if that was kind of an appealing thing to him. Maybe, they offered him a significant amount of money, but they also told him, but look, this is an interesting project. We have, the development academy could definitely be better. It's not an LA Galaxy or New York Red Bulls development academy, but maybe there's something there that's intriguing there for him. So I'm wondering about that.
No, I think there's different factors. I think money is one of them. Let's not rule it out.
Well, but being comfortable in the United States and how easy that is, right? That's got to be one of them when you look at it.
Almeyda, firstly, let's be honest. How many managers go from Mexico to a decent European team. I mean, recent past, we've seen Aguirre and we've seen Antonio Mohamed. Yeah. And I can't think of the top of my head any others.
Hugo Sanchez.
Hugo Sanchez.
Coaching
well, I mean,
but it's rare. It's rare.
No, yeah.
So anyway, so you've got that. So first of all, it's going to be difficult for him. Almeyda, because of his name, he speaks Italian. He could have gone to Serie A. How much money is a mid-table? He's not going AC Milan. He's not going Lazio right now. You know, where's he going to go? Okay, mid-table team. He's got 2 daughters. They're both kind of, you know, adolescent age. You know, does he want to be moving them around to Italy now? You know, his older daughter's dating Benjamin Galindo's son. And they bought a house recently in Guadalajara.
3MZ.
Like, you know, you've got those direct flights. I won't mention it, but Almeyda's actually mentioned it in a press conference. So
I mean, the San Jose airport's next door to Almeyda Stadium. Almeyda's like, boom, I love it. I'll go get some In-N-Out. I'll go to the airport. It's gonna be great. Go back to Guadalajara when I need to do that.
So, you know, and he's like the money's there. They'll be paying him well, and I think it's that balance between them. He's getting good money, and also it's kind of a challenge. You know what I mean? Whereas if you go to Qatar or if you go to China, which he had offers from both of those, then it's not. You know, it's not for a 44-year-old manager. So I think that's basically what he's thinking. I think he didn't want to stay in Mexico because he didn't want to go with another Mexican club. And yeah, there's not many places like MLS that give you the chance for a long-term project. And I know it's San Jose have had 3 coaches in 2 years or whatever, but I think Almeyda is a major coup for him, and that he will be given time there. So yeah. I don't think it's ideal either. I just think there's certain factors in Almeyda's mind where this all came together. But I'll just go back quickly to what I was finishing. Chivas press conference is always, you know, 20 journalists minimum there. San Jose, I get, you know, you can just imagine him like with like 3 journalists in the room, you know. And I don't know if that's going to kind of feed Almeyda's passion, because I think he likes that. I think he likes to have that connection with the fans, you know, like he did at Chivas, like he did at River. And let's be honest, he's going to a city where, you know, soccer it's not massive, is it? I mean, you've got the San Francisco 49ers and all that stuff. You got other sports going on. I
do think there's potential. Obviously, I mean, there's a significant Latino population out there, a significant Mexican American population out there. Yeah, it's not like overnight you're gonna see like a huge portion of fans there. But like I've been to Liga MX friendly games at Via Stadium, and it's an entirely different atmosphere from the Earthquakes games. And so maybe there is a potential that some of those fans who never thought twice about the Earthquakes, maybe now overnight there is a potential that could be pretty exciting, and maybe you'll get a little bit of that vibe that you would get with a Liga MX match, because I mean Almeyda, even if you don't even care like about Liga MX, he's one of the more major signings the Earthquakes have made recently.
I just kind of think about, like, take Chivas fans away from it. You're a San Jose America fan. I don't think they're really going to care if Almeyda's there or not. It's not like they're going to bring him to the club.
I think he's going to be a big
fan. No, I think he's going to bring some people in, but it's not like, because of it. You know, and you see that. I kind of go back to what you said, Tom. Luis from Twitter, Luis Navidad, just kind of said, I don't think he realizes what it is he's getting into, or they're paying him well enough where he thinks he can moneyball the MLS. I live in the Bay Area, and I'm probably still not going to pay attention, you know. And it's in the way that he is. On another point, it really quick, you know, he's saying that he's not going to be able to motivate players using that whole only Mexican thing anymore. Escalex is saying on the chat, he uses the fans, he uses the players, and he builds up on them. I mean, the guy has a tattoo for Chivas on his body. You know, this is a guy that lives and breathes football, and now he's going to a city where, you know, I would say soccer is what Cesar, you know, in all the sports that are around it.
It's probably basketball, football, right behind cricket and underwater basketball.
So it's you know, you kind of look at that and just it's in that sense. I just kind of go, I would have thought that Almeyda would have done better, but now I kind of look at it and go, wow, you know, it'd be great a story if this is it, you know, and if he can take that and, you know, win a championship or do something big, like, who knows, maybe get into the CONCACAF Champions and beat a big club. You know, that's another thing that I think I like about it, is that MLS and Liga MX rivalry. It's going to be fun. Like, you know, you can't wait till the CONCACAF Champions. I want to see LAFC, those types of team against Mexico. In that same way, it'd be kind of cool to see, Almeyda team, that's inspired, that maybe it's winning a few games and then goes in and plays Liga MX, in that sense.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see him in the CCL, but if he does return to CCL, it wouldn't be until 2020, just because of the current format. So it might be quite some time. That's assuming that Earthquakes do extremely well.
It kind of brings us to Almeyda, now when we saw the tweet and the hair and everyone's like, a lot of people, the first thing they said, okay, well, there goes the Mexican national team job, right? I mean, El Tri, when you're looking at it. Would it surprise you, Tom, that there was maybe a clause in there in the contract where if the team is available, he can vacate his contract and go to the Mexican national team?
No, not all. I'm sure there were provisions in there, no doubt. I think Mexican national team. I think Argentina's too far right now. But yeah. We'll see them. We'll see. It's interesting. He seems to have wanted to stay this side of the Atlantic. But just quickly on Luis wrote. No, he wrote about he's in the Bay Area. He don't really care that much. He might not go. I tell you, I think, and this is the other thing with Almeyda. He plays good football. They have possession football. It's very much Latin American style in terms of it's flowing, it's attacking, possession based. And I think if San Jose Earthquakes start playing some good football, then I think that's what's going to attract people, and it's not going to be kind of somebody shouting from the rooftop. But it's like Atlanta. Atlanta, you're going to go and see good football. You're not going to go and see. Remember when San Jose Earthquakes played Toluca and nearly beat him a few years ago, and it was like it was fair enough. They played the game, and it was awful. I mean, they were just long balling it all the time into the penalty area, and it nearly worked. But it was just like, I don't know. I mean, you two guys know better than me, like the Mexican American fan base. But I feel like there's not a lot of respect for that type of play. And so bringing in Almeyda, he's going to play that way, and I think people actually like that, and they'll pay to go and watch the team over time. I'm not saying it's going to be in after 2 games.
Yeah, and I think that. I know, like, when you look at the roster, people are like, it's a little laughable that Wondolowski is still one of their better players.
I asked you that in the chat. I'm looking.
He is still one of the better players. But honestly, I think you make a signing or two, and it's in Major League Soccer, like it's not that difficult to make it into the playoffs. Like when you really look at the way that the teams are able to go through. I think with Almeyda taking charge, there's an Anibal Godoy in the team. Danny Hughes and Vaco. There's some decent players there. With Almeyda, maybe a couple signings, they could go work their way into the playoffs.
like a LA Galaxy, that'd have been like a fun something like that. It'd be like in LA Galaxy, it'd be like that'd be kind of exciting to see. And then I saw it, regardless of what league it is, it's the last place of a league that's ranked in North America, obviously behind Liga MX, but in the World League, I'm just kind of like, where's the MLS in that? And that's where I kind of see. But it's it is what it is. You got some funny comments, of course. You guys, I think, can't wait to see Almeyda appear at a Sharks game. I was laughing. That's hockey, Tom, which we'll see that. So
that's the 5th most popular sport out there.
Do people buy tickets to see managers? Then the question would be, how are ticket sales for Maradona and Dorados? I was definitely taken up by surprise when we were doing our pre-plan, our rundown, and all of a sudden we get this news yesterday's, and I think everyone was just kind of split. Like, well, you really, really see how Chivas fans, and I'm looking on Twitter, how it really is kind of like another, like, kind of, just the last dagger in that heart, just kind of like, here you go, keep suffering, because you're not gonna have him in El Tri, you're not gonna have him anymore, and now he goes to MLS, and he goes to a team that's the worst team.
I think it's still important to remember he is still only 44 years old. We can't rule out one day him return to Mexico, maybe even coaching El Tri. We can't rule out him going to Europe. He's still a very, very young manager. I think he could still make some improvements in his own managerial game. So this isn't like this is it. He went to Major League Soccer. He's done. No, I think that
not at all.
I think that he's still a fairly young manager, and it's could be, and that's why I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not too bothered by it because I think I'm fairly interested to see what he could do as a 44-year-old manager.
If anything, if he sees that he's just made a mistake by it, but a year in and it's just nothing's getting done by the way, I think he's out. I think he got plenty of jobs in Mexico and even anywhere else. I mean, you're not going to forget in Argentina and anywhere South America. You're going to see what this guy did. That's a good thing, right? It's not where a player goes and then there goes his career because it's going to be really hard to come back to another place. That's the good thing about it.
How long's Ferretti got in Tigres? 3 more years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I
does well in San Jose, that Tigres job comes up, he'll be straight in there.
Even if he doesn't, even if he does well at San Jose, if he does really bad for a year, he can just blame the league or blame whatever it is, and he'll be able to come back. I just had a question in there. It's kind of like, how many coaches have coached in Liga MX and MLS? Just kind of thinking about that.
I'm sure it's a surprisingly decent number. I don't know though. I think
I'll have for you guys. I just can't remember, and maybe it's on the top of my head. I'm a little sick this week, so my brain cells aren't working there. But yeah, I don't. Not a lot of come on the top of my head.
Can't think a minute.
So
yeah, maybe I thought it would be a surprise. I don't know.
All right, so that's you guys. Whoever can think of that, and give us a shout out back. But moving on. Well, we'll see where it goes. So when will be his first game, Cesar?
So the season doesn't start until like March-ish,
2019.
No, it starts in March. Starts in March, like March or April.
Oh, okay, you weren't kidding. I thought.
Yeah, like March or April. He's gonna at the very least, it's gonna be good that like he's already there. So he's gonna be given some time to adjust. He's gonna be given some time to talk to the general manager. Almeyda, if you're listening, hit up the Falafel Drive-In. Go check out the Winchester Mystery House. Go check out Santa Cruz, the Oakland A's, the Warriors. Oh, it's gonna be a good time, man. I'm excited for you.
Just hang out with Almeyda, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'll show him around.
Almeyda, you already have your tour guide.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it brings us to the question of El Tri and the manager position. I mean, now you can you can for sure now, Chivas fans. He's not, or anybody that wanted Almeyda and El Tri, it's pretty much not going to happen. Tuca Ferretti. Still leaning to, now it's kind of been said by the club. That's not going to happen. And now the biggest talk would be Tata Martino, which kind of goes back to MLS, right? And what he's doing in Atlanta, now getting close. Tom, is now you're seeing more concrete possibility that we're getting Tata Martino as a national team coach for El Tri?
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, me. I think this guy is
the name of the
moment. Yeah, it's the name, yeah, and people are mentioning it, and I'm sure that is definitely coming from somewhere because everyone's not making this up, and it makes a lot of sense. He's a great fit for Mexico. For me, it'd be an absolute massive deal if Mexico could get that guy. Forget these guys who are saying, there's a lot of people on Mexican TV kind of going, what's he done? And it's like, he's managed Barca before.
Yeah,
Atlanta United. He won the league with Newell's Old Boys. He did amazingly with Paraguay. I mean, I don't know what else you want, to be honest.
They're arguing for the sake of argument. I think it's as simple as that. It's just have kind of like a devil's advocate. That's the way that I've always kind of seen it. I don't know.
Who else has that in their resume that is willing to even sit down with Mexico?
Yeah, I mean that's my worry. That's my worry that it is actually Mexico's #1, and Mexico are willing to open the checkbook, willing to do that. But then Tata Martino if he doesn't continue with Atlanta United, he's going to have other offers.
Mm-hmm.
For a start, someone like Colombia is still looking. I mean, if you're a manager now, if you're Tata Martino, you've already had experience with Paraguay, you've already experienced with the Argentine national team. What's more appealing right now, Colombia or Mexico? I mean, if you take money out of it, and I don't know, I think you've got a better chance of winning the World Cup with Colombia than Mexico.
Yeah, and I think Tom, you kind of just brought that up right there, but I do wonder now if a decision, especially now that Almeyda has been taken, I do wonder if there will be a decision that's going to be made by El Tri right after the upcoming friendlies. And I hope that maybe we're going to see something in the near future.
Well, I know there's November friendlies.
Yeah, but I think.
Yes, guys,
I don't know.
Yes, there is November friendly.
I feel like they got to make it. They got to act soon. They got to make a decision soon. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that a decision is going to be made after the friendlies. But I don't know. We'll see. Whether it be a Peckerman, I don't know. I think
the decision is going to be made until now. When I'm seeing things until after the New Year, or at least close to the New Year, and Tuca Ferretti is going to coach this friendlies. They're going to coach November friendlies in Europe, and then maybe in December or something like that, or even into the beginning of I don't feel like there's a huge rush for the FMF to really try to get somebody in there.
No, I agree.
It can be into next year.
Yeah, I mean, someone, for example, let's someone like Martino or especially Peckerman. I mean, those kind of guys are going to want to negotiate. They're going to want demands. I mean, Peckerman, if he comes in there, I don't think it's possible for the federation to accept what Peckerman would ask, because from the media side of things, he doesn't really do any media. He doesn't really do any interviews. In Colombia, he had his headquarters away from the kind of federation's complex. He had his own kind of little complex where he just used to sit there, watch the games, analyze, the players abroad, and he just did what the hell he wanted. I mean, that was what I heard from his days in Colombia. And Mexico aren't going to accept that. And then, Martino, slightly different. But I don't think Martino's going to negotiate until he actually officially leaves Atlanta. And then Queiroz as well, Carlos Queiroz.
Yeah, Carlos Queiroz.
He's with Iran till February now. He's going to play the Asian Cup, I think. So that's another thing. I mean, is it possible to wait for Queiroz? I don't know. I mean, I just hope that they get one of these type of guys. You know what I mean? I hope that if these three if they don't get one of those three, then where else do you turn? I don't know. I'm slightly worried, to be honest.
It is kind of bizarre to think about. So how well Atlanta United does in their run to the potential MLS Cup is going to affect the decision-making for Mexico's next national team manager. It's kind of like a bizarre thing to kind of think about, that the success or failure of a certain MLS team could really impact that.
And in the other way, I mean, I kind of was thinking about this. How are the U.S. feeling if Tata Martino does go to Mexico? I mean, this is an Argentine, the prestige of this coach and how he's doing in Atlanta and now taken to the rival to Mexico, which could have been a step for the United States. It's kind of like, think about.
And it still could be.
Yeah.
Let's not rule that out either, because it's a good point. I mean, I don't know. Again, this is my worry with Mexico, and I know I'm being really negative here. But if you put on the table Colombia, United States, and Mexico, and given what everybody saw, if
you say United States has a better chance to win the World Cup than Mexico, Colombia, that's over.
No. But I think it's like Almeyda. I think it goes back to the Almeyda thing. I think they're more likely to give someone like Martino exactly what he wants, or someone like Peckerman exactly what he wants. They've got that freedom, and I think in Mexico they don't have that freedom, and they've just had that. Any manager, Martino will know Osorio. Peckerman will know Osorio pretty well. And I don't know what's Osorio going to say about Mexico when these guys ask.
They're all in the
absolute disaster. I was just so glad to leave. I loved the players. I liked the federation, but my reception from the media was so negative that I think it'll put other people off that job as well.
I really would like to be in that WhatsApp group included.
It's cool. We'll just stick with Piojo. It'll be fine, right? Piojo. It'll be fine. Just come back, Piojo.
That's also something that's probably not. I mean, like the stock of Piojo is just. Can we just let that go? So I mean, we're looking at that.
I don't know. I guess honestly, I would have been happy with Almeyda, to be honest. I know. I
wouldn't have been like disappointed, but I feel like Tata Martino, Queiroz, that's why I don't want somebody to, and Peckerman. I've said that from the very beginning, and then, but Tuca, Almeyda, it's just kind of like I just didn't see what Almeyda's done, but we'll see how it goes.
I definitely prefer Almeyda to Tuca
over Tuca.
Yeah, likewise.
But I mean, it's personal as well, because Tuca, I think, is kind of. I don't think his methods are very forward thinking. I mean, you saw at the weekend against America, 3 free kicks, 3 goals. 3 set pieces, 3 goals. I'm not saying he's terrible at that kind of thing. Pedro Caixinha was just complaining about the national team in September and the fact that his players at Cruz Azul came back tired. And I just don't think Ferretti as a manager is very good at Tigres. He's got a really good team, keeps the players happy because they play the little games of foot tennis and they do the cascarito the day before the game.
And Duca takes part in those too.
And he takes part, but I don't think he's kind of cutting edge. And I think for Mexico they need a manager that is close to the cutting edge, close to the most progressive style and methodology possible. But
I think there's a certain. His name is Osorio. I think he's involved with Paraguay or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard his name's been tossed around for a little bit.
The other one's Caixinha, because he is genuinely a forward-thinking coach. But I just think his personality, he would explode. He would be ripped to pieces so quickly if he was the national team manager. And I don't think his playing style particularly suits it.
Really quick on the chat, continuing saying hi to there's a few new fans of the show, I'm sure, because of Almeyda. I'm saying Matt Richardson saying Almeyda has been brought to revolutionize the team. This seems to be his specialty. He brought Banfield to Argentine First Division, rejuvenated River, Chivas. This is what he does. And then somebody from Belize, Central America, jumping in and saying hi. Lots of people on the chat, guys. So if you have not been part of it, definitely be part of doing that. All right, saying hello to Miss Adriana Terrazas, who was supposed to join us today, but got a little sick, couldn't talk. We're giving her remedy. So if you can tweet your best cold remedy, she's got some coughing. We were trying to do that yesterday with her, honey and tequila. I think Tom went in there with some kind of whiskey shots and stuff like that. So if you have a nice little home remedy for
and then Tom sent a message. He's like, oh, you don't want the whiskey shot? I guess I'll take it myself.
Send it to Adriana Terrazas. Hopefully she's getting better, but she's on the chat right now. So if you want to ask her a question, she does say MLS taketh Almeyda, MLS giveth to Martino.
I think Adriana decided not to join today's episode because of the Almeyda news, and she's like, "I just can't take this. I'm sick." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm sick. I'm sick and tired of all this Almeyda news." Is what she said.
She's the one that broke it to us on our little WhatsApp chat, and we had this conversation about it. But she also says, if Caixinha wins the title with Cruz Azul, does that make him immediate favorite for El Tri? And yeah. I think definitely, it's in that sense. But
I don't think it would be the immediate favorite. I mean, his name would be much stronger in the conversation.
Especially Mexican fans. As soon as you win a championship, it's like all of a sudden you can coach El Tri. Like everybody, we've seen that.
Yeah, I got a message from Adriana today. I'm sure she won't mind me reading it out. San Jose published a video with Almeyda. I'm dying.
Oh man! See what happens when you stay home sick. Other than that, Tom just takes advantage of how nice you are. All right,
hit up advice. You'll have a great time. Any of those doubters, we'll see how Almeyda does. But just go to Val. You'll have a good time. It's a very modern, exciting stadium. They even like walk out the players like in the middle of the crowd. There's like 4 security guards like holding back like the fans. So they might need to hire a few more if Almeyda's gonna be around.
All right, guys, switching over to from what we talked about, we're gonna just jump into the Women's World Cup qualifying. Mexico, can you believe it? World Cup qualifying right now happening in CONCACAF. The United States just obliterating everybody, and then there's Mexico. I want to hear your thoughts, especially on that very first game, 6-0, just a disaster start for Mexico in how I saw one of the worst performances that I've seen the women's play. And I know it's against the United States. And I know it was against an amazing team. But just I'll keep my thoughts and hear you guys. Yeah. And then obviously Mexico winning and getting that win against Trinidad and Tobago. But to you guys, this is important. We talked about it last week. This is a time where if Mexico does not make it to the World Cup, it is going to be detrimental to what all of that Mexico has done in the women's game. And it kind of just scared us a little bit. 6 goals against the United States. We know it's the United States. We know it's the best team in the world, or one of the best at least. But at least, it got you kind of your mind thinking that I really hope these ladies can make it through this. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts on World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF.
Yeah, I only caught the first half from the game against the U.S., but it just was not pretty. It was pretty worrying. Yes. I think Mexico was very, very lucky to only be down 1-0 at half, and then when I started driving home, that's when my phone started blowing up, and it's just the United States started getting a lot of those goals, and obviously that has hurt Mexico when you look at the standings. Because even though Mexico got a 4-1 win against Trinidad and Tobago, you look at the standings, you see Panama has 3 points, Mexico has 3 points, but Panama has a -2 goal differential. Mexico has a -3 goal differential. So that means that this Wednesday's game against Panama, they're going to have to get a win here. A draw would push Panama through, and if Mexico fails to get a win, then they're not going to the World Cup. Simple as that. So I think I don't know if we're really that shocked by. Maybe we're a little bit more shocked by the one-sided result against the U.S. Maybe we could have predicted a loss, or maybe not something like a 6-0. And I think we knew that Mexico was going to have a difficult time going into the next round. But I don't know. It's all down to the game against Panama now.
Yeah, but against the States, they played them twice quite recently, and I think they scored in both games, and it was like, at least they were in it. But I thought this game, I don't know what happened. I thought they came out looking very nervous.
3 minutes in, first goal.
Yeah, and they played with a back five, so they were inviting the pressure on. And if you're playing with a back five and looking to keep it really tight, the last thing you want to do is be conceding an early goal. Basically through a stupid goal. It was, for me, the product of nerves. And then once you're 1-0 down, 1-0 behind, and you're playing a back five, and then I think psychologically it's extremely difficult because you go out on that pitch to keep a clean sheet and to stop them scoring, or to go as long as possible by stopping them scoring. You let a goal in the first few minutes, and you're like, okay, what now? What's the plan? How are we going to get a result here? And I didn't like the strategy, to be honest, because I think, if you looked in that second game, you had Caitlin Johnson alongside or in front of Charlene Corral, and I thought that it gave the Mexican attack a focal point. And Stephanie Mayor, Maria Sanchez, and Corral were all they could pivot around Caitlin Johnson, who I thought holds the ball up really well and brings them into play. The problem was in that game against the States, you've got a back five, and Johnson was the one who kind of was sat on the bench because of that. It was like a 5-4-1 formation, and so the one striker is Charlene Corral, and Charlene Corral many things. The one thing she's not is tall. She's not. And Mexico's outlet, because obviously you're under so much pressure against the States, Mexico's outlet was to kick the ball long.
Yep.
And Charlene Corral, she scores goals. She's the top goal scorer in Spain. She's clearly a very, very good player, and perhaps she's going to go on to become the best ever player Mexico's produced. But the one thing she's not is going to do is, be good in the air against the US centre backs. You know what I mean? It's just not. So I didn't like the strategy, but they got the job done against Trinidad and Tobago. I thought again the first half it was nervous again. I don't know what's going on before these games. And obviously on Wednesday against Panama, that is if Mexico win that, the one after. But I think the one thing we can say is against Trinidad and Tobago in that second half, it suddenly clicked. You could see it, You could see Maria Sanchez was starting to make things happen. Mayor was making things happen. Charlene Corral got a couple of goals, and then she kind of found the confidence, and she started trying to make plays and doing tricks, and all of a sudden, it felt like, this is the Mexico team. You know what I mean? This is what we were hoping for, because I don't know. Everyone was saying that with the Central American games before this tournament, Mexico looked good, and that the girls got a lot of confidence from winning that tournament. I think the finals against Costa Rica, which could very well be, Mexico's the playoff game to get to the World Cup. So yeah, I'd say it's not been great so far. But just finally, that it's just so important that you have to get over the line now. Forget you played well, you didn't play well. Get out there and absolutely. I mean, it just feels like it's such an important moment in the Mexican women's game, and the momentum with the Liga MX Femenil. If you've got a World Cup coming up, I just think that's going to be huge for the whole league. So yeah, hopefully they can do it.
When I was looking at it, I don't think anybody was expecting a, Mexico win or even a Mexico tie, actually. Just at least I wanted to see this is a team that's supposed to be the best Mexican national team for women's in a very long time. All the things they've had, the practice, they got what happened over the summer. They've played the U.S. team already. They knew what the U.S. team has. Everyone knows they're going to go full force. And the fact that I was just very disappointed with them coming out and just being completely nervous. This wasn't a packed house. This was in a huge stadium where the U.S. national team can pack 40,000 people in large stadiums. This wasn't as far as pressure because it's your first game. And every single time coming out of the locker room, Mexico looked completely nervous, just lost. And 3 minutes took the U.S. to score. They were able to hold it on, and then the second half, 3 minutes, I think it was when the U.S. scored again. And then again, and then again, and then.
And to be fair, the format isn't exactly that ideal. I don't know if that's the best way to really determine who are the best teams to go through from the CONCACAF region to the World Cup, and it's an immense amount of pressure for these girls, especially when you have the U.S. In the first game. So I don't know, it's a difficult.
But I want to about that is at least have composure on the very first game. It's going to be a very tough game, but what happened mentally is something that is. It shouldn't happen, especially at this level, because here comes the World Cup, right? It's like we're starting to see. I'm glad that they were able to win and they were able to take that, the 4-1 against Trinidad. It was a little nervous again, but now here comes real pressure against Panama, which should be a team that Mexico should be able to beat, right? I mean, if we're looking at all how it is and how they played. So it's a little bit disappointed. I was more upset at it. I'm like, how can we look this lost against a team against the United States? Because at least, you can lose by 2-3 or be a completely defensive game. But even like you said, Tom, Charlene Corran did nothing. And it was only until she came back to try to get the ball that she at least tried to get, a few touches in there. And we saw that even with the Trinidad game, the way that she was coming back instead of just waiting for that number 9. She's not that type of player that's going to hold the ball again, behind the goal and take 2 or 3 on and then go. She's a scorer, and that's more of the Caitlin Johnson type of player, right? Which you could to look at that. She's got the height. I like Caitlin being in there. I thought it was at the same time, just like with you, where she should have been in the starting lineup. And I see also the coach, and maybe just the reaction, but he was. I don't know, but he also kind of looked like nothing was going his way in what he thought the lady should be doing on the game plan. So I don't know how much also the coach. I think there was something after the exchange in the United States in the after the press conference that he didn't like. He walked away a little bit upset about a question. So things aren't going well. Hopefully, we see that game against Panama and, we can come back with a celebration.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. In any kind of team, I think you need an identity. You need a way of playing. You need the players to believe in a style. And I'm not sure if what happened in that first game against the United States was they were asked to do something that they're not used to doing, which is just sit back, play completely defensively, 3 centre-backs, changing all that up, sitting right on the edge of the box, you know what I mean, defending. And I just think maybe, and I don't know, because I think, you'd have to ask the players exactly what was going through their minds, but it just seemed like they weren't used to that system. They weren't very comfortable in that system. And that was the result. I thought, a couple of players weren't at the best. I thought Nayeli Rangel wasn't that great. I thought Nancy Antonio as well. She played really well against Trinidad, but I thought against the States, don't know. And when your 2 central midfielders aren't having a good game and you're playing against the States, then it's difficult. It's tough.
We'll see on how that goes. And how much they've changed, right? And at the same time, I'm looking at also, just the level of the U.S. I mean, they're demolishing everybody. And then just kind of looking at the World Cup. Let's say Mexico gets out and goes to the World Cup. I mean, now what's a good for them with getting out of the group, right? And hopefully, that's something that we aspire, and it'd be huge. I think Mexico be celebrated if they were able to get out of the group in the World Cup. So we'll see where that goes. I do want to say, however, when we're talking here about the women's team and or what's happening, is that on Wednesday we have a special Mexican soccer show here, a live show that's going to be completely all done by our ladies on our Mexican national team. on our Mexican Soccer Show staff and Food Mex Nation coming in. You know, Adriana, that's who's also on the show. Amy, who does a great job doing a lot of background stuff, and also Cari Torres, who's also been on the show and has helped out. They're going to do a show on Wednesday that's focused on the women's national team and also some of the talk about El Tri and Liga MX, any news that are coming up. So we want to make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday for a different type of show, all the ladies. I think it's going to be the first time that an all-women cast here take over the Mexican Soccer Show. I know I'm definitely excited to see what they have to say. I'll be watching. So invite all of you guys to listen in on Wednesday. It would be right after the Panama game. I think the Panama game is in the afternoon. So
it's either gonna be a very exciting or very depressing episode.
So they have, yeah, it's kind of
good luck.
Good luck. So it's definitely gonna be a great episode to watch and see. And then going forward, the ladies will be starting a podcast that is going to be all pretty much football based in all aspects of it. So they're going to be announcing a little bit more on Wednesday and what that podcast is going to be about Mexican soccer. And definitely very, very excited to see that it's going to be through the Food Mex Nation channel. So just lots of info, especially when it comes to El Tri Ing, right? And now on the women's side and Liga MX and Mexicans Abroad and everything. So much information coming out to the Mexican Soccer Show families. So definitely tune in for all that's coming. All right, guys. Well, jumping right into Liga MX. We talked about the men's. We talked about Almeyda. We talked about the Women's World Cup qualifying. Make sure you're watching on Wednesday. Jump really quick into Liga MX. That is there's so much football going on, and even national teams got friendlies coming up too with Tuca's over there that we haven't discussed. But really quick, storylines of this weekend with Liga MX: Cruz Azul over Monterrey, America over Tigres, and nobody in the Mexican Soccer Show except for Amy had Pumas beating Chivas. We're all hopeful that Chivas will bounce back. But what would you think would be the biggest storyline in Liga MX over the weekend?
I mean, that Cruz Azul Monterrey match on paper, I mean, that looks like a playoff match to begin with. Obviously, the red for Rogelio Funes Mori really changed that game right there when it was 1-1. But I think that when you look at a match like that, or you look at the Tigres America game too, which you got to bring up too, which I unfortunately missed out on that game because I was in Tijuana heading over to the Cholos game. But it looked like apparently I missed a game that was Liguilla worthy, which looked like a lot of fun. But I think those two matches are the ones that really stood out the most to me. And especially, even though, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch that Tigres America game. But I think even without actually watching the full 90 minutes, only watching short sections of highlights, it looks like I clearly missed an incredible game. But it looks like, once again, that is a little clear example of a playoff preview.
Yeah, and exciting to see Cruz Azul, continuing and looking at the way that they're playing. And it's now we're finally shaping up to that Liguilla, right? It's when we start going, okay, who's going to make it on that? Tom, to you, aside from, that we're looking at America and Tigres, it's probably the most exciting game of the weekend if we're looking at and how it fared out.
Yeah, it was my favorite game for a while, to be honest, in Liga MX. I mean, I thought there was a certain amount of quality there as well. I thought America showed up. I thought they were, they were up for it. They were, flying into tackles. They were, they looked like they really, really meant it. And I thought, it bodes well moving forward for America. Yeah, I mean, quite a few yellow cards as well. But yeah, it was a top game decided by set pieces. I mean, I think all three of America's goals were decided were scored directly from corner or from a corner or as a result of soon after. So, I mean, yeah, I thought America looked pretty good. Again, I said it before on this show, but if you've got Guido Rodriguez and Uribe in midfield, there's a phrase that says, you judge how good your team is by how good your central midfield is, and for me, America's is the best in the league right now. So yeah, I think we have to give a lot of praise to Miguel Herrera in a certain way because he did get sent off again. But he brought on Edson Alvarez at half time, and he moved to a back three, a back five, if you like. And I thought that it gave America a little bit more control in the second half. And so, I think you have to give Herrera credit for that, because he's been criticised heavily before, especially in that game against the Netherlands, in 2014, for making a change, and it didn't quite work out, and his team dropped back. But in this circumstance, it definitely worked. Roger Martinez as well. I liked his performance. I thought he showed, that he's looking. He's starting to look now like a Club America striker. And yeah, so I think America will be up there. I mean, I think they've shown enough. There's not many teams that go away to Tigres and win. So yeah, massive. What a goal as well by Xhaka. What a goal that was, and Gignac, to be fair. I mean, both of them were absolutely beautiful goals. So yeah, I mean, it felt like a final to me. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like a final. I'm not sure if it's because we've seen these teams in finals before, but it felt like
what was the intensity of it too? Yeah.
I'm incredibly jealous that I went to Tijuana. I watched the boring 1-1 draw between Xolos and Querétaro. And meanwhile, everyone was going crazy on Twitter about that Tigres America game. The only two games I watched a full 90 minutes this weekend were Veracruz 0, Necaxa 0, and the Xolos game. It was like the worst Liga MX weekend for me ever.
Dude, I could have told you. I put tie on that on our. I was like, that's a tie.
And also the worst weekend for me ever when it comes to the predictions. Oh my god, man!
One. I looked at that game. I'm like, that's going to be a tie waiting to happen. It's for sure looking at that.
Dude, I started off the weekend. What's up?
Tell us about Xolos Querétaro. I mean, Querétaro up there in 8th. You know what I mean? I don't think I wouldn't have predicted that before the tournament. It seems like Rafa Puente is really getting something going there.
No, he's obviously there's something special about the team, and I think that there are certain individuals on the team which really help him stand out. You have someone like Volpi who had an incredible save actually on Saturday night, which could have really helped Xolos get the win there. Obviously, you have someone like Sanveso who could really step in the attack. He got the penalty goal that equalized the game. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was controversial once I saw the replay, because I didn't get a chance to watch it in the press box. So it was definitely a little bit controversial there. But when you look at a Querétaro, when you look at a Xolos, those are teams that I don't think both will be making the top 8, but I'm guessing one of those two will be fighting their way into the Liguilla. And what Querétaro do well is that you also have someone like a Marcel Ruiz, like a Javier Güemes, who do well in the midfield. And with Xolos, what they do well is they just organize, and they scrape by with 1-0 wins, and they were gonna scrape by with a 1-0 win were it not for that controversial penalty. But for the most part, it wasn't the most exciting game. It wasn't exactly thrilling stuff. It wasn't really, I don't know, eye-catching football over there. They Estadio Caliente. But at the end, I wouldn't be surprised if either of those teams eventually make it into top 8. It looks like Querétaro are a little bit more of the favorites. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Cubo Torres.
I mean, what do you want? What can we even say about Cubo Torres?
Are we done with him? Like officially done with?
No, the sad thing is,
can we just stop talking? Like,
I think we do. I mean, he's still only in his mid-20s, and obviously things have been declining since Chivas USA. But I thought that I thought something that kind of stood out to me was when he first signed with Xolos. I sent a tweet, be like, "Oh, maybe this is his chance to come back." And then someone sent me a tweet, well, wasn't Pumas his chance to come back? That didn't play out. And now, and I said it's his time to come back with Xolos, and that hasn't played out. Honestly, Xolos, they need a new striker. And I feel bad. I really thought Kubo could potentially be the answer, but
San Jose Earthquakes.
There you go. He can work with Chris Wondolowski. There you go.
With Almeyda brings him back. I mean, wasn't like Cubo Torres out like begging in South America? Like,
it's sad because Kubo, if you were to have if he was to score, I don't know, if he was to score like 6 goals in one season, suddenly.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was like, suddenly he would be in the conversation with, like, he would be on the same level as like a Henry Martin, and he would be like potentially be getting some call-ups and like one of these like as like a fringe option. But it's just he's struggling, and I really do. I don't know. I feel bad for the guy just because it's just been going downhill since that time with Chivas USA, where things just didn't work out.
And then he did. I thought he had like the single record for goals in Dynamo or something. I think he did rather well in Dynamo.
He had one good season in Dynamo, but I mean, I think with Cubo Torres, it's the mental side of things, isn't it? I mean, I don't think from everything I've heard off the field, he's just not been there, you know. And that's you can't get away with that now. You know, there's very few players that can get away with that. But yeah,
I can't believe we talked like 3 to 4 minutes on today's episode about Kubo Torres. Did not expect that today.
All right, we're done. Cutting off. Liga MX next week. What are the games that you're looking for? Atlas Veracruz on Friday. Saturday, Querétaro.
No games this week.
Wait, no, there's no games. There's no games. I was about to say, I'm looking. Yeah, there's no games.
It's just drinking the water. It's just so much. You're right. It's already, and that's why I didn't put it on. My bad, guys. No Liga MX this weekend.
Someone hit up the Lobina.
It's because you said Kubo Torres. I'm like, all right, let's go to another topic. All right. Well, we're early on that. We could have talked a lot more about El Tri, so expect the ladies on Wednesday to talk about the so we didn't even mention the friendlies that are coming up for El Tri. That's how much we value these friendlies of against Costa Rica and against Chile, which are going to be, I think they're going to be at least exciting to watch on what we're looking at. So expect the ladies to talk a little bit about that aside from
it is difficult to get on. My outlook on these friendlies now is kind of, the last ones, because Ferretti, there was that chance that he might carry on with the job, and it was an insight. What's it going to be like? How's he going to work with the younger players? And now he's not kind of going to be there. It's like, well, don't know. It's difficult to know what to pick out of him. I mean, going back to the Kubo thing, what Cesar was mentioning is like, you look at the strikers that are in that squad. Henry Martin and Saldivar. Apart from Raul Jimenez, who's kind of on a different level now, and they were both subs again over this weekend, and they were both subs in the Clásico Nacional, and it's slightly worrying that those are your strikers, and it's not like there are others just hiding around the corner. I mean, it's I don't know. I looked at this squad and I was kind of like, it's slightly concerning. Well, not slightly. It's very concerning the lack of strikers that Mexico have right now.
Yeah, for me, for the upcoming friendlies, I just say don't pay attention to the score line. It's an interim manager working with key players, but there are also plenty of backups. I think most importantly, regardless of whether Mexico wins or loses, I just want to see some young players given minutes, and I hope that they do well. And I think when you look at the roster, you're hoping for Alvarado to get minutes, Arteaga, Angulo, you have Lahoud. Hopefully we'll get to see Lahoud, Van Ranking, potentially Jonathan Gonzalez. I think there's a number of young players there that could that you're hoping really get a start. And I'm kind of based this off nothing, but I'm also saying keep an eye on Tecatito, because he really impressed me in his last Champions League performance. He looked like the old Tecatito the same way that we used to talk about, the way we talk about Chucky now. I feel like it was pretty close to the way we talked about Tecatito, like in 2015. And he kind of showed glimpses of that in the Champions League game last week. So I'm hoping he builds off that, because really, honestly, I was trying to watch the Porto game and the PSV game. There are moments where I was actually keeping a closer eye on Tecatito, just because I feel like he was almost doing just as well as Chucky in that Champions League game last week.
But yeah, I think for Tecatito, he's one of the key players to look out for in these two games, because it's been. I was looking at the stats the other day, and I think he played 33 minutes in the World Cup, if I remember rightly. He didn't come on against Brazil with Mexico chasing the game. I think he came on against Sweden and against Korea. And
he looked bad against Korea. I think he looked that great.
I mean, this is a player. If you'd have gone back 1 year before the World Cup, this was a player that was going to be a big deal for Mexico. He was in there starting. He was. This is someone who can unlock defenses, can run past people. Is it going to be Lozano? Is it going to be Vela on the other side? He was a starting player, and to go from that to what he's become now, he hasn't started a game in the Portuguese First Division this season yet. I mean, it's slightly worrying.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that year when, to that moment. I remember being at the car with you, Tom, and getting the news that Tecatito had to leave that day. The game against the US was 2 days after that, and then he missed the Confederations Cup, and then it just kind of all went. What happened to Tecatito?
Yeah, so that's I might be a little too optimistic, but I feel like just based off that last Champions League performance, I'm hoping this is really because he's 25 now. He's 25 years old. He's not a young player anymore. And I think by now we would have. I mean, the first season he was with Porto. I remember there are rumors about Man City being interested. Obviously, he hasn't reached the peaks that we've wanted him to be at. But I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that what we saw last week, and honestly, that was one of the better performances I've seen from him in a long time because we don't see performances like that.
He could do it making a statement. Like, it's not going to make or break his international career, but he could do with giving us all a reminder that this is a player that we should be.
So we have,
because at the minute it looks like a player who is, if he's going to move on from Porto, it's going to be back to Mexico or even to MLS, to be honest.
And it's not comfortable. Let's say Tecatito gets back to the rhythm that we want him to be back. I mean, that player that when we were doing the top 25 Mexican players, we had Tecatito up there, a year ago when we were doing that. So, Tecatito doing really well. You got Chucky and you have Jimenez, which is what we wanted, right? We want our answers, and those three are doing well in 4 years, and whoever's behind them, then there's that transition that we're seeing. But
yeah, and one more thing about Tecatito. I think that in other call-ups, I mean, Mexico has a wealth of wingers. I think it's he'd have to compete with Aquino, he'd have to compete with Vela. But I think at this call-up, you look at the players that he's competed with. Obviously, you can have Lozano on one wing, but you've got Brizuela, you've got Dam, you got Alvarado. So he's gonna have a good opportunity to get a start here. I think it'd be really, really exciting to see him on the pitch for 90 minutes and really making a case for himself. Because like we've all said, he isn't the player that we once thought he was in 2015, 2016, 2017 to an extent. So I do really hope he bounces back.
We'll see what happens. All right, guys, went a little bit over our hour. I want to say thank you to lots of people on the chat today. Thank you to all the some visitors. I think it was like we said, the Almeyda news. So we welcome everybody. Continue to give some love on Twitter and retweet all of our articles that we have. I know Tom and Cesar do a great job, and there's a lot going on there. There's so much going on with Mexican soccer this week. So definitely see all things that are happening. Again, everyone in the chat, thank you. Everyone that are listening to us on the iTunes, thank you again for subscribing. If you haven't done so already, definitely subscribe. And we're always looking for comments on our iTunes, guys. There's still one from like 5 years ago. So go on there, listen to it, comment on that iTunes, and tell us, whatever you want to tell us. Hopefully it's good, though. All right, make sure you listen to on Wednesday our special show, talk about the Women's World Cup qualifying, and also a preview of the Mexico-Costa Rica, Mexico-Chile game that are coming up. The roster rundown, and the ladies are going to do a great job preparing for that. So lots of stuff with the Mexican Soccer Show. You cannot complain that there is no Liga MX and El Tri content in English, because there's a plethora of it all over the place. So, guys, thank you so much. Cesar, muchísimas gracias. And Mr. Tom Marshall, we'll talk to you guys at least next week from the Mexican Soccer Show, but stay tuned for Wednesday's Mexican Soccer Show with the ladies. Hasta la próxima.